And then I ran a poll. This actually changed my life.
Wow.
I was still living at my mom. This is like maybe year 2 in Bankros, maybe year 1, very close to after shooting Vindictive, maybe whatever. But I did a poll where I was like, do you want the rap shit more? Or do you want the life shit more? And I did like just the poll. And I thought it would be overwhelmingly rap shit. And it was the opposite. It was like 80% life shit.
Yeah,
And I was like, but that was a realization. I'm like, oh, this is bigger than what I think it is, because more people are following me for the mental tune. Wonder.
Hello, guys. Hello, welcome back. Today I'm back to saying what episode we're on again, but it's episode 9 of the Preem Pod. Again, this is a place where you guys, we hope and pray that you can laugh and you can learn and you can grow. Excuse me. Again, the theme, if you guys are kind of like tuning in for the first time, or if you guys have been tuning in since episode 1 and you're like, you guys are just all over the place, the theme and like what we're doing and like the point of this, like the whole goal for us while we're doing this, because it's almost like therapy, but also for you guys is just to be better than you were yesterday. So for us, our goal of doing this is to keep getting better and challenge each other. Yes. And for you guys watching, the goal is for you guys to simultaneously get better and challenge yourselves. So whenever something offends you, if something does ever offend you, which I hope it does, because those things that offend you, if you put that pain aside, you put that emotion aside, and you listen to what that thing is, you probably need that thing. You probably need that. Because for me, whenever I was offended, I usually got better, or whatever. So if anything ever strikes a nerve, before you get offended, you go try to cancel us. Stop, look at yourself, and be like, "But wait, why did that make me upset?" And you'll probably learn a thing or two. But I don't mean to talk like that. There is champagne in this. So if I talk kind of weird, if it's something offends you, I'm gonna blame it on the champagne.
Can I jump off that?
Yeah,
real quick.
Yeah,
now I'm gonna start asking instead of just cutting in. I'm gonna attempt.
I like that.
That's me being better.
Yeah.
This is what I learned. If I am offended, generally speaking, the instinct is to go feeling first. But I've learned in life that if I catch that feeling, right? Because sometimes these feelings escape you and they just hit you. Yeah. If I catch that I'm offended, the first thing you need to do is take a breath, right? Chill out for a second and then ask, why am I offended? And then if you ask, why am I offended? And you actually genuinely ask that question, you could spend 3 hours unraveling a thesis about something and recheck your either morals, values, ethics, or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, where you're offended, you need is a pain point of your like psychology. And I'm not saying that you should never ever be offended, right? But you should never impose on the world to change based on you being offended, right?
I like that.
Because we can all be offended,
exactly.
What I mean?
But
it's easy, but we all have the power to create our own worlds at the same time.
And you can control, like, I don't argue with, I try not to argue with people in comments. I like to if like something, like I like to get the likes and get the follows and, of course, get the engagement that comes from it. So I like to do the same, like similar that you do and put my opinion in places. But sometimes it is hard to not, like when I see someone says, well, you're not going to change my mind, and this and that and the third. Is like, for one, I wasn't trying to change my mind because I know that social media comments cannot do that. But the fact that you have that stance that you just want to believe this thing that is making you mad, it seems like you want to be mad forever. Because it's like, if you change your mind, you'll probably stop being mad. But we got really deep into that sentence I said. But I mean, I'm glad we did, because I really hope you guys understand that, and it's not coming from anywhere but a place of love. But
I hate everyone.
if you read the title, you should know we have a really great episode prepared for you guys. So hopefully you read the title and you're in the right place. If you're not a creative, then this could still help you. You could apply this to most entrepreneurs. But before we jump into this episode, actually, I take it back. We don't actually need to jump into what happened since we last spoke, since we already got to talking a little bit. So we can actually keep going and just jump into what we want to talk about, which is how to scale as a creative. So that's why I said, if you're a creative, you're in the right place. So we'll get into what to do when you're starting out, how to master both the business side of being a creative, being a, artist, whatever the case may be, and the art side, because you need to the business side is the one you really need to master. Like that's the most important side because the art side honestly does not matter. But if you are a true creative and you're a true artist, it does matter for you. And you can't even help that it matters. So we want to help you be able to master it.
It matters in a different way.
And exactly, it matters in a completely different way. It's more emotional reason why it matters, and the other one matters for logical, monetizable reasons.
Right.
But when next we'll also talk about when to scale and how to scale. So knowing at one point do you start scaling. I guess we can talk about what scaling is because a lot of people don't really know what that means. They just think it means go start running ads, and it's not what it means at all. So we need to kind of break that down. What is scaling for you guys as well, and then we'll kind of end with the paid ways to scale and the organic ways to scale and how long it takes. Like what is scaling kind of like from beginning to end, right? But like always, like I said, if you tuned in by accident, you just found this podcast or someone sent you the link, you might want to stick around, especially if you are a videographer, if you are a producer, an artist, a photographer, an engineer, and you're looking to start making six figures from your talents. That's a possible thing that a lot of people in this field are doing. I want to stick around. But kind of start with you, man. I mean, how to start, right? So for you, or I guess I'll let you kind of take the wheel there.
How to start?
Yeah, like as a creative, like where do you start as a creative if you want to start making money from your art? So like where do you start?
To start making money or just start in general? Because I think you can take it far. Like the very first thing you need to do is just do the thing that you want to do. And I know that sounds simple, right? But if we're talking beyond that point to like a point where you're trying to make money, right? It's you have to get good enough to validate price in general, like flat out, right? So it's like when you start, you do free work, like period, point blank, across the board. And that free work is sort of your network, your core like group of people who continue to work with you and fuck with you, right? You get enough free work in, right? That when you're good, you use this as practice, so your skill set increases. When you have too many people to do free work, then you start charging people and you charge them basically a nominal fee, right?
Okay.
So that's how you kind of jump into it. So it's like if you're a photographer, I'll use it as an example. You just go out and you take free pictures of people. You have them posted on your social media. You will start getting inquiries from people, assuming you're good. If you don't get inquiries from people, you're not good, right? So you treat this as practice, right? It's free. So like, and use this as sort of like a test run. So if like you're taking free pictures and someone's on your ass about whatever, then like it's not good enough or I need it back. This is all pre-season practice for what you're going to encounter when it's paid. Because quite frankly, if you're doing it for free and that there should be an conversation, but when we're talking oh, should we pause and check that?
Did so it's still going. So maybe you saved that first one for some reason.
Well, it just said recording in progress, so maybe it just is like, hey, I'm still recording. I don't know. Well, if it's still going, it's still going. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, I'll just recap. if it's yeah, so free, you get good. They post it on their socials. Then you'll have people coming into their DMs, and then you also have these people that are doing, talking free. Go refer. You set a nominal price, a price that's slightly under the quality you have, and now you have your first little base of clients. Now, every time you do this, you go up. You go from free to paid. People are going to fall off. And then and so there's a mental game with this, and that you have to check yourself where if you're doing shit for free, the people who are on your ass talking about blah, blah, blah. I helped you do this, whatever. You should still do it for free. You can cut them right off. Fuck them. Like
Yep.
flat out. And then start sticking with the people who are starting to pay. And then as you use those people, and this is again why it's important to slightly less than what the value is, you do the same thing, but now you're in this price point of practice, get better, still work on your craft, always be working on your craft, always stay hip on trends, whatever it is, try to find your own style once you get to a certain point. I wouldn't over what's the word? I wouldn't
Overindulge.
I would well yeah, I wouldn't think about your own style like that actively. I think that just kind of comes in time of practice,
Yeah.
right?
Especially depending on the niche.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and then so it's like, yeah, so then you do that and then you just kind of wash, rinse, repeat, right? And it's like, you take on as many clients as you can at that price point. When you're working at maximum capacity at that price point, you do it again, and then you say, okay, instead of going 25, I'll use studio, instead of doing 25 an hour, now I'm 40 an hour. And then it's the same, it's literally the same thing, right?
Yep.
And then but here's the thing about this, right? As you're making this money, you have to be, you're obviously improving your skill set. You're also improving equipment, right?
Right.
And things like this. And now when you talk about big scale, I'll pass it over to you with like big scale, is that this is where you need like your LLC, your business bank account, and then getting like business credit, because this is where I fucked up at Bankrows as far as scaling is concerned, is instead of having one studio or two studios, right? And then when I had this money, keeping my overhead low, and decking out the rooms, and that's what I mean by the equipment, we just got more studios. And so we tried to get more studios and then hire more people and all this type of shit. And that was not the move, right? It's like in my opinion, and you could argue this, keep it the circle as small as possible that is required or that you can handle. And then make sure that the work you're doing, you're always ahead, right? And then it's like, once you need employees, then you have to make sure you have the time to either find people who are good or train them properly.
I like that. And I like that you say you can argue. So I think I basically agree, because you do want to keep, because there's a thing to be said about the people who start with you from the beginning. They always have this thing that they kind of feel like it's like it's respect, but it's like they always see you differently than the people.
Talking about clients. I'm sorry.
I'm glad that you said that. I'm talking about the people who work for you.
Okay.
So the people who worked for you from the beginning, who saw you in the bullshit, who saw you figuring things out, they kind of feel like they know you, and it's like a weird thing where it's like it's cool and they have a respect, but if something goes wrong, like they're the ones who are like judgy. So it's like you want as little as those people as possible. So I am very like, have the smallest team you possibly can until you have a duplicatable process that is sustainable, that you can scale. Because that is before we get into scaling, that is, because we need to talk about scaling when you start, because you need to be starting a really important part about starting any new thing, but especially as a creative, you need to be thinking about what's next at the start. So you need to be thinking about scaling from day one. You can't scale at day one, but you need to plan everything you do. You need to, is it scalable? That needs to be the question for you. And being scalable means, once more clients come, can I still do this? Right. Yeah. So let's say that for an example is, let's say you have a photography studio, or let's just say you're a videographer, and every single client from your first free shoots, let's say your first 10 shoots, every client, you're buying them lunch. Like, that's awesome. Like that would be a great thing. Like every shoot comes with a free lunch, whatever, free Happy Meal, whatever. Like that's cool. But like, you have to ask yourself, is this something that's sustainable? No, you can't keep doing that. So it's just about identifying the things in your business or in your process that can work with a lot of people. And if they can't, figuring out a way, knowing that, not even figuring out at the beginning. At the beginning, at the start, is survival. Like obviously, usually in these type of things, you're trying to survive. So you're doing what you can to make money. So even if you know something is broken, you need to make sure that can't last. That's it. Write it down, and then you have this. Once it's time to scale, okay, these are the things that need to start changing if we're going to scale. So that's the most important part about like the start. But for you, kind of before we even get to scaling, so another part about starting, and now we're like, so we've started now. So now we've started doing free stuff, and now people see that we're good at what we do. So before you can move to the next spot, you need to get good at what you do. And if you don't get good, maybe you might feel you're good. But if you don't get good enough where people are going to respond to you in like a decent amount of time, evaluate if you love that thing. And if you do love that thing and it's like die hard, you love it, get good at it, point blank, before you move on. And then you start moving on. And when we move on, my question for you is, how do you, both are important, but how do you prioritize before you scale? There's this gray area phase of just getting good at what you do. How do you prioritize and not go too heavy in just the business side or the talent side?
So good in creative fields, right? Is this, it's a hard question, right? Because that has everything to do with taste.
Yeah.
There's what I refer to as a baseline level of good, right? And in mixes, basically, it's like in mixes, it's is the mix if the is the mix getting in the way of the song, right? So it's like, is the beat too loud? Are the vocals too sharp? Does it sound like bad, right? And once you figure out like the basics, this is why fundamentals matter. Like, I think that a lot of people, you need to learn the fundamentals of whatever your craft is. And I think a lot of people who are artists, they like to do this thing where they're like, no, this is just how I do it and this is how I see it. But that's bullshit, because they skip the fundamentals, right? Everyone great bases it on fundamentals. So whatever your creative thing is, work on the fundamentals, get really fucking good at the fundamentals, right? So what's photography fundamentals? Like framing, focus,
aperture, ISO, all those things.
For mixing, it's like compression, EQ, reverb settings, these type of things, right? So it's like you learn the general way of doing things, and it's the phrasing is learn the rules the right way, do them the right way. Right. And then once you get good where it's effortless, then you know which rules to break. And in that becomes your own style, right? So back to the question, right? Is like, what was the original question? I'm sorry.
How do you balance, getting good,
right,
at the art side and also getting good at the business
side.
Right.
So that's the art side. So the business side would be something like you're working on your skill set. And because it's free, people have to give you grace, where it's like, you like, it's free, bro.
Yeah.
And you could heavy press that. They're like, bro, this isn't sweet. It's like, yeah, no shit, it's not sweet.
You'll almost never get that. So you'll never get you'll always just like when I did free shoots, like one of the best things when now we're doing pre-media and it's going to be a lot bigger. But my first business was the photography business. And I think the best things for my business, like I did this big shoot where I rented out this, shout out CJ Hart Studios. That was the first photography studio I worked with. They would give me great rates. I was shooting on auto at the time, and he was helping me that day where I rented out his whole studio for 5 hours. I think I paid like $250 or something like that. And I made like around $500 in profit that day, and also booked 5 shoots on the spot and got like 50 numbers. So hard. Off of just a free shoot, you can come and just tip me. And they all was like people with bread, and it was dope. So it's like that part is like extremely important, that free stuff. But like once we get past that, right, now it's about the business.
Okay, so now here's the thing, right? As an artist, the market decides the value of your art. Okay, you can have an opinion. There are subjective opinions on what good art is, but it's the response of the people that generally dictate the value. And you and you have to remove yourself, your ego in that, because a lot of artists think that I'm so good or people don't get it. And it's like, you might be right. Yeah. You might be right, but that doesn't mean that if you're going to take that stance, that means you also have to accept that other people don't get it, which means they're not going to pay you. You know what I mean? So there's a balance in there where it's like, do I sacrifice a level of my creativity in order to make money? Or do I triple down on my creativity because I thoroughly believe in it and find the right people? And in that, that's a crazy landscape. But I would make an argument that do what people like, at least in your first like 1 to 3 years post free. And that will also help you build on fundamentals.
That's exactly what Doja Cat did. She dropped the Moose song because she knew that you guys respond well to satire and BS. And then she popped out as an actual talented creative artist.
And here's the thing about her. She was always talented.
Exactly.
She was always
amazing. Dumbed it down.
She was always great.
Yes.
Someone like Miles. You know Miles?
I wish I did. I don't.
He's a comedy rapper and blew up on TikTok. Go look up Miles. I'm not going to stay on this point too much, but I can almost guarantee that Miles can actually rap, but he figured out how to manipulate the TikTok algorithm through entertainment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's all it really takes. But that's also and whenever you're that person, because that was me, because it's like, so it's one thing when you put when if you just know, if you just think and you know you're undeniably good, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter who you are. Like we have so many people blowing up in the city that so many people, like it's an unpopular opinion, and I honestly I love Clooney now. Like I watched his kiddo interview. I love how humble he is. Like he was talking about when they like booed him. He was like, at first it was cool, but after a while, like even I would have booed myself. And I was just like, dude is hilarious. But like, dude is that last thing was dope. And it's like I love when it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter how what you think, how good you think. It doesn't matter how good people think you are. It's just a matter really how good you think you are. And if you're like, this is what I do, I'm not changing it. And if people's opinions don't make you change your art, now that's one thing, and that's great. And that was where I got to. And for just a year or two, I kept dropping. And I'm like, I'm just gonna find a way for you guys to like this. But the problem is it's a target audience issue. So if you just identify that
exactly that.
I'm great at this, okay, so you're targeting the wrong demographic. That's what I was doing. I went to Renaissance. I don't know. I wouldn't call it a hood school. It's mostly a lot of people who are like acting hood and like are mostly privileged type of thing. Like, I mean, there were some guys there who like kill people, but like most people there, like, parents bought them Beamers, like they're chilling, like it's cool.
What an eclectic mix of people.
No, I mean it was a weird, like it was a weird group, but I went there and like that wasn't my target demographic. They like Detroit rap, and it's like I'm from Detroit, but it's just a different, I have a different type of sound. Like I'm moving into pop and R&B, but
the city's not gonna like you.
Yeah, not that much.
You can make
I will cross over and make some Detroit beats and make some Detroit songs, Detroit beats.
I would argue not to, but that's a whole other conversation.
I would do it like a way that Lil Yachty did it with T Grizzly, like something like chill like that. Like not unless I'm going like all the way in on like the piano beats, but like just giving like a throwing my vibe on a Detroit song.
To talk about art real quick with Yachty is that Yachty just genuinely loves Detroit music, and he was an early adopter in the sound, and that's why he tapped in, because I think what happened, and
paying homage
is I think he just heard First Day Out, and that's what everyone heard from Detroit first, and still kind of is like everyone who's from Detroit sounds like T Grizzly if you're not from Detroit, and Yachty heard it, and so he tapped in, and he was like, this is amazing, and then T probably put him on the whole city, and now Yachty, he's just a fan from an arts perspective. He's a fan of Detroit music from an art perspective, and so now he's engaging in the culture of Detroit music, and I like Yachty's Detroit shit. I
mean I fuck with Yachty as a person, like honestly, and I'm always the honest person, like, and I hope like that other artists think like me, because they're, especially with the champagne being in the bottle, there will be some times where I try not to say, but there will be sometimes where I say I don't like this, particular artist music. See, you see the champagne? This particular artist's music. Yeah. And there would be times where I'm trying not to say that. But I hope that, because if another artist says they don't like my music, that doesn't offend me at all in any way possible, as long as they respect
If you're an artist and I say I don't like your music and you get offended, that's your issue, because that means you're insecure.
Exactly.
Flat out. It's a couple issues. It's like if you're really confident, I mean, there's a level of like, obviously, because it's like vulnerability. If someone doesn't like you, the instinct is to be like, I'm sad. But
there you go.
but you can wash that away though. But it's like, if you get angry about it and you're really thinking about it, it's like if you are making the music for you, like, here's the best thing I can say about art in general. Make it for yourself and hope that other people like it. Okay. And the confidence comes from doing your art the best that you could possibly do at the time, right? Do it the best and be satisfied with what it is in that moment. And when you're satisfied with what it is in that moment, then you share it. So then when people say this sucks or X, Y, and Z, then it doesn't matter because you like it. And you have to build that thick skin, because I'm going to start doing at some point too. I do want to do music reviews.
Oh yeah, we're definitely.
And so here's the thing. I'm not going to cut into people, but I am going to tell them why I don't like it. And it's like, if you get offended by I don't like it, then I don't care, because you're asking me for my opinion based on my history, and it's my obligation to be truthful. But anyway,
like. Yeah, because we can critique it from a fundamental standpoint, and then go into our opinions. Well, we'll always start fundamentally first.
Yeah, I mean, I'll critique it from a mixed standpoint.
Exactly.
It depends. Like, there's a multitude of things, because you can critique it from a quality standpoint if it's required, and really that's like a yes or no question. Is it good enough? Right.
Right.
That's the thing about mixing. Right. Is the mix good enough? And then it's style. and then it's style within market, and then it's
Right.
do I personally like this, and then it's like whatever your style is within that niche, could it be better in this way, and that has to do with influences of your influences or what you're trying to do. So there's multiple dimensions, right? Because it's like I don't want to critique someone who makes Detroit music and say you don't sound like Post Malone, so it sucks. Like that doesn't make sense.
And a lot of people do that.
Yeah, well, a lot of people impose their personal musical tastes on other people, and in the studio, it's very like that is a huge thing that engineers do that, and that's why I feel like I'm a good engineer is because before, especially with new clients, I will not give my opinion until I probably record 3 songs of yours, so I kind of and have a conversation where I know what your intentions are, because I can't judge. I can't judge.
That's strong.
I can't judge your music based on. I mean, obviously, if Detroit rappers come in, I have a huge framework of what they're going for, and I can make an immediate judgment. Right, like as soon as I hear bow bow bow, you know what I mean. I know what type of time it is. You know what I mean. But yeah, it's like some people make music that might be weird, right? And it's like you know. I don't think you make weird. It's definitely not. It's not Detroit.
I think for every 5 songs I make 3 weird songs. It's always like 2 bangers.
Right. Well, I think Kluner is a good example of that because he rides the line of comedy and good music, right? Because Kluner, especially as time goes,
he's getting better, and people like.
Of course he is.
The haters are gonna be mad because he's getting better every song.
They're gonna turn to fans. That's what happens. But you have to respect Kluner.
I respect him a lot after watching the interview.
You have to. You have no choice, bro.
Like, because, I have to.
Listen, it doesn't matter what you feel about his music. This motherfucker's been grinding, putting in work, paying.
He's consistent as fuck. That's what no one can. I don't see anyone as consistent, right? As consistent as him with the music in the city, like that I know.
Like really flat out.
Like he's just going and he's going and he's investing in himself. Like that's why I respect him so much.
That's why he's the king of Farmington.
That's why he's the fucking king of Farmington.
Right. The thing about him though, it's like, it's like the consistency. He's paying his way, and it's inch by inch, right? Like song by song. And he understands that it's wash, rinse, repeat. New content, old content. King of Farmington, he had a hit. That's King of Farmington, right? And so people are still off of that, right? So people who are hip to Kluner, they're going to find that, but now they see still dropping, and so you're collecting fans as you go, boom, 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 and then so he's snowballing his audience. And then once you snowball your audience, you get into a tipping point where you have enough people, and then you drop the right song through consistency that now it explodes, and then you do it again, and it's a wash, rinse, repeat cycle, right? And it's like you have to make hits as an artist, but how do you make hits? And that's a whole other question because a lot of people who say they know how to make hits really don't. It's trying to generate it. Some people can, like T-Pain, was the lord of making hits, right?
God.
There are people who can, but there's a lot of people who can't, right? Because you can make a song and think that it's a hit and have all the boxes checked, but people just don't respond to it. You know what I mean? It's a crazy thing, but that's why consistency and constantly dropping, especially in music today, is the move. I would say
consistency is the biggest.
I would say don't even drop an album, drop singles consistently, and that's a whole other conversation. But anyway,
last thing I'll say before we get into how to scale and when to scale. I know we had the ADHD alarm go off 10 minutes ago, but we're just kind of ADHD blind.
I thought you put it down so we were in the clear.
It's like hold it up until we stop talking.
Yeah, no, she just got fed up. She's like, they see it, fuck them.
Let me get back to the artistry by here.
Yeah.
But no, last thing I'll say before we move on, because we got some a little bit of time to blow. Last thing I'll say before we move on is just I love how when you first mentioned, it's so crazy. I held on to this thought. I was like, I'm not gonna lose this thought, bro. I held it on for a long time. But it's crazy when you mentioned how if you get mad when I don't like it, fuck it. And it's like, you also gave me my validation because it's like there is a thing to be said about the validation and how vulnerable you are when it comes to sharing your music. Because even just last night, I was showing her some of the music I recorded, and it was just like it's a vulnerable moment. I got emotional because it's like I really like these songs now. So it's like it is a second where it's like really only with the people I love. People online, and they always every time I run an ad, I get at least 2 people who are like, "Oh, what the fuck is this?" And it's like I need to tighten up my shit. But right before you scale, you need to identify what your target demographic is.
For sure.
So that's like the biggest thing. And because I've paid again five figures plus at least 15K for mentorship and coaching and training with things like this. And the biggest thing is that everyone focuses on is your target demographic, who you're targeting. That is the most important thing. Because to scale, you're gonna eventually probably most definitely certainly need ads. So
can I make an assumption?
Yeah.
I think that people think with scale, because you're bigger on scaling than me, from a certain point. I would make an assumption that people think that scaling is finding a wider audience, but I think that scaling is niching down and getting more market share of a specific audience.
So that's exactly it. So scaling, when you're scaling, you're gonna have to start running ads, and when you're running ads, a thing you're gonna run into is cost per click and like how efficient your ads are. So if you're spending 1,000 a day on ads and you're only making like, let's say $200 a day back from that, that's not worth it. So the way to make your ads more profitable, if you guys didn't know, is to niche down, because now once you niche down and you're targeting a specific demographic, more of the views will be clicks and more of those clicks will be buys, because now more people who specifically want what you're offering are seeing it, as opposed to just targeting women who are 29 who have kids. Like, I don't care what niche you're in, that is not specific enough. I mean, obviously some will perform well, but you want to get specific as fuck as you possibly can. So with me, that's what I'm now doing. I mean, that's what I'm in the process of doing. So you guys will see, like, I'm just like Rose just took his page from after, saying, not saying fuck bankrolls, but bankrolls just being bankrolls. You created your own page, and now it's about to hit 1,000, especially after the Cadell interview.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing similarly is creating this extra page, because as we talked about on the podcast, I took some courses back in the day before we knew about shadow banning, about buying followers with my artist page. And it's like, I don't know why people be like, when they ask me, like, I'm like, yeah, did you buy? I'm like, yeah, for that page I did. Like, I was experimenting, and I was like, it's like, oh, it's like, no, like, it was a thing. I did it, and it's like, okay. I think people think,
a lot of people do though, bro.
But people think you buy followers because it's like, people think you do that because I would look like I have friends. Because it was one of these shade room arguments I was having back when I indulged in that, and they were talking about, like, he tried to come for me like, do you bought followers? You want to act like you have friends? I'm like, if you think I want you to think that I know 42,000 people, like, okay, you're blow. Like, what does that do for me? I don't care if you think I have
real
friends.
Big high school.
That was me trying to make bread. Okay, you guys were scamming and doing all that shit. Like, it's just, there's no paper trail for you. You can see my follower account, so you can see it, so you can talk shit. But I don't care. Like, I didn't do it for you guys. I was trying to get bread. I'm sorry. There's a champagne thing about it, but. No, like with scaling, the first thing you need to do is make sure you have the right eyes on you, because if you have the wrong eyes on you, you're wasting your money. So that's what I was doing. I was making music for Renaissance because I would just like, I wanted my class to like me. I went to school with you guys. I made music. Hello. Like, you guys look at me as the track star, the photographer, and it's like, hello, like, I do this, but I'm like, actually, no, like, you guys aren't my target demographic. I fuck with a lot of you guys. A lot of people from Renaissance that I graduated with are successful, which is it's great to see. But you guys just, it seems like you just don't buy well with me, and it's fine. Because I think so many people get caught in trying to please where they grew up in their hometown, that they lose scalability, because you're for 30 years trying to appease the people that will never like you.
You don't have to be the same person you were even 5 minutes ago. And I will, so like, there is some, okay, I'll get slightly philosophical because I can take it all the way down there. Obviously, where you grew up, you want to make the people around you proud. And there is a level of ego of like being better than the people you grew up with, like that high school shit where it's like, I want to show up to my high school reunion and shit on the bully. There's an element. Yeah. I mean, I think we all do in a sense. We all have our metaphorical bully or whatever. It's like, and it's because
mine was a teacher. She called me a waste of space.
She can go fuck herself. She shouldn't be a teacher. That type of shit pisses me off.
It really, because she, sorry to cut you off, but she just basically, like, Renaissance was a college prep school, and she found out like that I wasn't going to college, and then she basically was like, "You're a waste of a roster spot. Why would you come here?"
Yeah, cool. Keep making $50,000 a year, you corny bitch.
And she probably makes less. Like,
that shit genuinely pisses me off. How are you gonna put that type of bullshit into a child? That really.
And it got me amped up. I'm like, I want to make more than you. I want to make a lot more than you.
You already are. You work at McDonald's and make more than her bitch ass. Fuck her. I hate that shit.
Yeah, I do too.
But if you're not wired to mentor the youth, then find another profession and get the fuck out of the way.
Last thing before I keep going, there is a scripture we were talking, because yesterday we got into the Bible on the pod. We were talking, there was a scripture saying that not all people, not everyone can teach in the church.
Fuck no.
And literally, like, the Bible said that, like, not everyone's gonna be able to be, because I couldn't be a teacher in the church. That's what, in last thing before we keep going, that's why I've never put like people put Bible verses and people put like a signal of that they are a Christian in their bio. I've been a Christian for as long as I can remember since I had Instagram. I never did it not because I'm ashamed, but because I didn't want to perpetuate. I didn't want to be that person that gives Christians a bad name. Because I'm very deep in that my religion. I'm not very deep. I'm trying to get very deep, but I knew that I'm not living the way I should, and it's like instead of just like because what happens is people who are atheists, something like will click on like, oh, this guy has this Bible verse and look at him cussing and see that y'all. It's like it's a bad representation to me. So that was kind of like
let me argue this. You should put Christian in your bio if you're going to stand on it, because as a Christian, there's no expectation that you live without sin. That's part of the process.
There is from non-believers, because my thing is, as a Christian, your biggest thing is to not convert the non-believers. That's Jehovah's Witnesses, but you want to spread the word. But it was like I don't want to be. I'm not even there yet. Now I'm willing to, but these last few years I've been on some bullshit.
You don't never listen, never don't change your behavior or change what you feel is right to appease people that like it's true. Not listen, it's not
I won't say it was right, but that was true.
It's not your responsibility to convert atheists. Like I know the Bible says whatever it says about
Jehovah's Witnesses, that's their responsibility. But
it's there's a way of you can't. I mean, it's to lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Exactly. So it's like it's don't try to lead the horse unless they're thirsty. You know what I mean? And like flat out. So it's
that's a bar.
Yeah, but you do have to walk the walk.
You do have to walk the walk. If you're gonna be a leader, Yeah.
Right.
You're making secular music, that is as they call it, that I make.
Yeah, I mean, there's a it's
even the guy. I'm sorry I keep going on, but even the guy I just sent that song that we loved and shit. Like I asked him. He said, I'm a person who reads. I overthink. I read into text too much, but I sent him everything. I was like, all right, you fuck with. He's like, yeah, I mess with the vibe and everything. And I just saw that the excitement wasn't as high as I anticipated. So I was like, just want to make sure, is this on pace with your brand? Just want to make sure. He was like, there is a lot of cussing. I was like, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I would love to get more creative with some of those words that I use. Cause I mean, we're creatives. We can find something else. I'm not the person who just thinks, oh, I have to curse. Like if we can find something, a creative way to say what I was saying, I'm down with it. So I'm like, I want you to, if you work with me, I want you to be completely immersed, and I want you to be completely confident that this has platinum material if you're going to send your verse back. That's me.
Right.
I'm sorry I had to say that, because like that's just when it comes to, I mean, even with target audience, I wanted to make sure that it was on pace with what he's looking to do. I don't want you to be on a song with me and now you're like, is my audience gonna mess with this? I don't want you to work with me if you're like afraid of that, because I want you to be completely confident in what we produce. But
100%.
I do want to jump into how to scale and when to scale and all that. I'm sorry, I just kept going down rabbit holes. It's the champagne. I'm gonna keep blaming that, and I won't. I'll stop bringing the champagne.
My spirit is champagne. I'm a rambling man.
I need it sometimes because it just kind of loosens me up a little bit. Like, as I navigate this social anxiety that it's like, I'm not sure if COVID brought it on, but it's just so weird. But
listen, as a friend, I'm gonna let this slide a couple times. But if this shit gets in the way, I'm gonna check you.
The champagne. Oh yeah, you can definitely, for sure. But I'll try not to.
You're good. I'm not trying to make you feel too bad. You could turn up. You deserve it. You deserve a little turn up. You've been working real hard.
I'm a mimosa guy, so it's kind of like getting because it's not like just straight champagne. Like it is mixed with some juice, but I'm a mimosa guy. I like starting my day off.
Yeah, mimosas are the fucking shit. Mimosa,
God,
and salmon.
She likes salmon. I like mimosas. I don't do salmon. It tastes like whiskers, but. But I never said that out loud, but that's exactly what it tastes like. But okay, so
I love whiskers. I love the taste of whiskers.
So
that's hilarious.
So yeah, I'll let you kind of, because I know when it comes to scaling, I know you said this is me, but like for you, I'll let you kind of open it. Like, so when, I don't know, because I know when do you think, at what point do you think it's right to scale?
Define that.
So let's say, excuse me. So let's say we're building a business and we're getting traction. Things are happening. We're getting featured in Now Entertainment. That's a true story. We're getting featured in different things and different articles. At what point during your journey of growing as a creative do you start to scale? So I guess I like that you asked that. So before we even start about that, what is when you hear the word scale, what does that mean?
To me, like I think a threshold of scale is everything you've learned in your skill set, being able to transfer that into something where you don't have to physically do it anymore.
Yes.
I think is sort of the threshold for that. So I think it's like with us, like it took me 10 years to get all this knowledge that I have. Basically, I'm still engineering, and I made a lot of missteps, a lot of mistakes, and I'm converting all those L's into W's, and you specifically, and Preem, all the Preem everything brand
Preem.
is going to help me take that messaging and take those skill sets and then put them in a way that's scalable. And this word scalable is like, whatever, how can you get it to the most people with as little effort? I guess is a thing. But again, this is where you can check me because I've never been able to scale. So like the mistake I made with Bank Rose was, I don't know if I said this on camera or off camera, but what I should have done, we had over the course of 2 years, we went from one studio to two.
Right.
And then over the course of 3 years, we went from 2 studios to three, which was a mistake because what we were basically doing was expanding. Now, when you expand outwardly like this, you need more engineers in order to do the work.
Right.
Right. So, and then you need, obviously that caused training time, you need more people, and then you need to market and get more people, but we didn't have the money to run ads. We didn't. And so we're increasing our overhead in order to get volume. But what we should have done is decked out, and we were using shitty, cracked, Pro Tools and outdated equipment and shitty room, like not really sound treated, and sort of like I have at the Russell now, but it's the same type of shit. It's not like it's not.
You guys weren't just because you're just kind of like building it up, but that was like how it remained.
It's not Mix Factory, right? That's how it remained. Exactly. Right. It's not Mix Factory. It's not Royal House. It's not like Parallel, like Parallel Sound. I'll get it all the way out for them. It's not like it's not a high quality aesthetic space. Get Fresh Studios. Shout out to all these people. But so we went wide, but going wide, we couldn't maximize. We couldn't get better equipment,
right?
And we couldn't get better quality sound, and then we couldn't get better quality engineers, employees, right? So we had to hire. I mean, for every studio space, you need at least, I would say, 4 engineers. So 4, 8, 12. We needed 12 people, right? And so by going outwardly this way, I chained.
When you say 12, I'm sorry. Are you saying that each engineer gets 3 people? Like, why?
Every room should have 4 engineers working it. If you're a studio owner,
gotcha.
General rule of thumb, I would say.
This is a question for me. What are those 4? I'm sorry, that's getting deeper into this, but I'm just curious. What are those 4? What are their functionalities? Well, there's 4 people in there.
Yeah, it's just 4 engineers. I mean, engineers. So it's just within a week space, every room. It's like, so if you're going to book from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., then you need the people.
So not 4 in there at the same time.
No.
I was picturing 4 engineers like, hello.
No. Sorry. I'm glad. No. I'm glad you cleared that up. No.
So if anybody's stupid like me.
Yeah, no. That's not stupid. I'm glad you brought that up. No. Because I was not clear. No, yeah, like 4 per room, 4 engineers, so that when you have bookings, right, it's like you have your star basically who does 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and then you have your second, and then you have 2 people that are kind of there to fill in the gaps. And I would even argue you could go 5 or 6, depending, especially if, because engineering is tough. Yeah. People crash out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They think that they can take on, I'm going to do 10-hour days every single day. And not everybody's built like you to do this shit. They're going to be like, damn, I'm not seeing my kids. Like, yeah,
motherfucker.
You feel me?
Well, there is something to be said too as a studio owner. And at some point I do want to take a crack at it again, but not now. I'm going to do it the right way. I'm going to max myself out. I'm gonna scale myself.
I can't wait
from a personal brand perspective.
I'm gonna turn the fuck up.
And then I'm gonna do what I was trying to do at Bank Rose. But anyway, So so what we should have done is stuck with 1 room, 2 rooms, and then put money into it, stack the money, and then gone to the bank and get like get a business loan in order to deck the shit out and run ads. Right. That's what we should have done instead of just sending a fucking flyer out to hire engineers and get shitty people just because we were desperate, and then people who don't give a shit, because no engineer gives a shit.
Until they go out on their own.
Well, again, most engineers are recording so that they can get free studio time. Like they're engineering in the same way that people sell weed. They want to smoke for free. They want to rat for free. Mostly. That's like
Yeah.
90%. That's why engineers aren't very good, because they have an ulterior motive. No one actually wants to engineer. I do, which is why
Yeah,
I'm
so
which
you're
is why
saying
I'm
most
valuable.
engineers are artists.
Yeah,
Okay.
or producers.
Okay.
Because a
That
lot
makes
of
sense.
times, bro, you go into a studio and they're like, listen to my beats. Like they have
Yeah.
because engineers get zero clout. None.
True
We do not
that.
we don't exist. But
You will get a lot. I'm gonna make sure,
well,
man.
I'm gonna get a lot because of my personality.
Wait, exactly. Because
There's
of
a
that.
lot, but I'm going I don't have a mission to do this, but I definitely understand that there is a way to brand myself as an engineer to make engineering cool. And someone like Mixed by Ali has done that. He has this platform called Engineers. That's a whole other conversation. But
Okay.
anyway, it's very cool. So he mixed like Kendrick. He was Kendrick's engineer for a
Oh
long
wow.
time. So yes, engineers don't get shine. In the same way that producers used to not get shine until producers brand themselves, and then mixing engineers um, can do the same thing as producers. I was even thinking about putting a mix tag on people's shit.
Like this Rose engineer.
Yeah, like fuck it. We'll see what it does and whatever. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, engineers generally are people who are sitting in the studio literally 72 hours straight, sleeping in the fucking rooms, making sure these shit gets out on time. And that's why like a lot of engineers
Having 40 edits to have to make because you keep not fucking liking it.
Yeah, but it's that's the game though,
Yeah.
man. That's the game and that's the balance. But anyway, what was the initial question? Because no, I forgot.
No, it was less of a question. It's more kind of like I think it was just kind of open for us, kind of talking about that. We're talking about that scaling phase. We're talking
Yeah.
about that, mastering, kind of balancing both. And I mean, it's all leading to now we're talking about how. Like,
Okay,
how
so
do you scale?
I think
But I think the question was,
Yeah.
what is scaling to you? So like that, you kind of gave your what you feel scaling is, and you then went deeper into it. So now we're like closer to how to scale.
Yeah,
And
you need to take over from that point. So let me frame this, right?
right.
I'm in a studio. I'm at max capacity, right? I'm working 50 hours a week and I'm charging like 50 an hour and I'm getting that, right? So here's what you can do. You can increase your rates, right? And then do the same thing, wash, rinse, repeat. But there is a limit to how much you could charge per hour, just based on market value, because you can't wash, rinse, repeat this all the way up to like $500 an hour. I mean, it's possible, but it's not probable and it's not the most efficient way. So once you get to a certain threshold of time per hour, now it's how do you make it so that you make money in your sleep? How do you turn, this is my question for you, how do you turn your skill set from active to passive? Right? Like, and to me, it would be putting it in a format like these coaching classes and shit, putting it into a format that other people can purchase and access, or it's you go from paying to do the thing to getting paid to teach others to do the thing to getting paid for a video of you teaching people the thing. It's sort of like my sense. Is that somewhere around there?
No, like it's very, very close. And I'm gonna introduce a part of it that most people like save for later. So the biggest reason why and we both very hard on get good at the thing first.
Yeah.
Because before you scale, there's a step that a lot of people miss. It's an optional step, and it's not really optional, it's a step that only works for some people depending on your niche. But once you master your skill, you need to master it first. So I suggest getting a mentor. If it's not me, I don't care. Just make sure somebody who is an expert in your field that you trust and you resonate with is at your beck and call, that you can reach out to and you can ask them questions and you can get the right answers. Because 9 times out of 10, if you don't have that person, there's somebody you're asking because you don't know. Right. So you're asking someone and they're not an expert in your field. You're asking someone who probably has never done what you're trying
to. Homeboy.
You're exactly.
Your mom.
And then they're not telling you the things you need to hear. So the first step is get a mentor, but really master whatever you do. And once you master it, you need to see and study if there's a way that you can do this at high ticket. So this is before you scale. See if whatever you're charging, see if you can charge 5 to 10 times more than that in any capacity. And if you can't charge that for what you actually do, see if your skill set can do, if there's anything that within your skill set that you can charge people at least 1,000 plus for. Like high ticket is technically 3,000 plus. If you're actually in high ticket sales, like that's usually the threshold. 3 to 5K is where the start is. But for people who have never been in high ticket, $1,000 is high ticket. So make sure that first you have a way to charge somebody $1,000 for something.
Future's engineer was charging $5,000 a mix. So but he's worth it because
Right,
he's
exactly.
fucking futures engineer. Like, have
Exactly.
you heard Stick Talk? Like that, it's amazing on the
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, so the thing with, I just wanted to kind of piggyback off that, right? Because I'm charging 50 an hour, which means I would have to charge 500 an hour, and 500 an hour for studio time is I don't even see where that could be. Like that would have to be like $1 million property. That would have to be like
$500 is a lot. So I guess
it
I
would
see
have
what
to
you're
be
saying.
bands. It would
So for
have to be,
you,
you know what I mean?
if I was scaling you, because I think one thing that shot yourself in the foot is you've charged under 100 for. I mean, I don't think you've ever charged over 100.
The max I got was 75 on 7 Mile with janky equipment. Right.
So I'm like, I think all it would probably take is like the equipment stuff, because I
Right.
think any day you could go to 200. It's like, the thing is, that's why I always ask, how much am I paying you? Like, you're worth whatever to me, like whatever you tell me you're worth, it's like whatever. I'm not going to use anyone else. Like, this one dude hopped in my DM and was asking about studio time, or asking that I need an engineer. I'm like, no, I have one. He's like, just give me a chance. I'm like, it's not about not want to give you a chance. I have somebody that I work with and I'm satisfied. So it's like, what else do you do? I want to help. But that's the whole thing. We can talk about that. He ended up asking for.
Here's the point that I'm trying to make, though, is that when we're talking about efficiency of scaling, is that there are only a small fraction of people who could charge 5,000 mix.
Yeah,
because he got locked in with one of the biggest superstars ever, probably relatively early in his career, and rode it up there. Right?
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that's luck.
No,
I'm saying that's obviously skill set. Exactly what we're doing. You're sticking with me because you're satisfied. It's probably the same thing. He's stuck with them.
Yeah,
and blah blah blah. And so, 40 and Drake. How much would a fucking 40 mix be? Probably in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, because Drake songs are like the best.
Right. But that's branding. But that has to do with branding. Exactly. Right? That has everything to do with who you're affiliated
and credibility.
With. Right.
That's exactly what that guy has. That credibility of working with Future. That's why someone will pay.
So for most people, right, it's like you can't scale that because that opportunity just simply won't present itself. Right. So it's like the alternative way to scale would be, I guess, teaching and education. And I think that's what people do. Or there's, you know what I mean? There's other lanes. But anyway, I just wanted to make that point and just kind of pick your brain on that, because for me, 500 an hour I'd have to be like in Royal Oak or better, and then with better shit, and then target a different clientele, and then Detroit market in general. I don't even know if they have the money for 500 an hour.
Yeah, I would. I mean, you're someone that, I mean, that's if I was to be if I was your consultant, I would definitely like look to like, okay, make as much money. I mean, if we're gonna stay in the state, but if we're gonna move the state, definitely move to LA. But if we're gonna stay in the state, I would say make as much money as you can to the end of the year. Then January, get another studio in a different area. Don't franchise. I know you don't want to build a different studio, but if you were to ask me what you should do next, I would say hire someone just for the Russell, like not go crazy with it, like someone that you trust and like big dog you fuck with.
That's a better way. Make multiple. That's kind of what I wanted to do with Bankrolls. Make multiple low ticket spots and then run all of them.
Yeah, in that, but also like make that low ticket spot and keep that in Detroit, and like, work out some way where it makes sense for both of you guys. But then you put yourself in a place like Royal Oak where, because you can demand 100 an hour. And I think all you would have to do is do the free thing that you just discussed. Is do the free thing one time. It's worth it because it's a vibe. Especially if we get like we're gonna do crazy shit.
I for sure, I'll give my value right now. I'm for sure worth with like good equipment, like not even top of the line, but respectable equipment in a respectable area and like properly built environment. I'm for sure worth $150, $200 an hour.
Yeah.
From a skill set perspective.
I would argue that for sure.
I
would hate to have to pay it, but I would.
right.
But it's like, that's the best thing about you is that it's I never really thought, like, whenever I'm thinking about budget for a song, but I'm thinking about advertising, not even the engineering, because you're
This is an interesting conundrum because we can keep using me. I'm glad we're having this conversation. So here's the thing: I could probably get 100 an hour at the Russell with what I have now.
Yeah.
But then the problem is finding the right clientele that would pay that, right? Because the clientele I work with just simply doesn't have that. So that would have to be a whole thing of.
I would argue that.
No, that's the issue. That's the issue I run across anyway, because it's like, that's why you scale up slowly. When I was telling you the wash, rinse, repeat, you go free, then 25, then 50, then 75. And as you climb up, you have fall off, boom, boom, boom. And you're taking your clients and you're adjusting. They're going to fall off, but you're still working at the time. You're validating your shit, whatever the case. But there's a max on that because of the environment you're in, flat out, right? So then it's like, so it's like, how would I get the right clientele at 100? Because paying 100 an hour, it goes beyond my skill set. It has that's what I mean. Is like, I don't think in real life, tangibly, people think that because they're good at the thing, that's all that's required, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
And the thing is, like, and I actually had wrote this in one of our previous mock-ups for an episode where I was going to talk about this and we didn't get to it, but I wanted to argue that because I know you repeatedly, because I even mentioned like our press articles that we can get people featured in press and like, you know, do features for, you know, 500 plus. And you were saying, yeah, my audience probably, you know, won't be good for that, whatever. And I was so excited when you said that because I wanted to argue that with you because I'm like, no, it's like people will pay anything because all your target demographic has those BB belts or whatever that are $500, $1,000. They all spend that money.
You're right.
But I truly think that it's worth it to keep you and not find another engineer and pay 50 more an hour, because what also is going to happen is they're probably going to stop with the small talk and they're probably going to start trying to record quicker because it's worth it. Because that's what I had to do that for a stint where I wasn't going. I had a rough money issue, but I need to keep recording with you. So we would come in and I would be like, you're talking. I'm like, yeah. And I'm sliding the beat. Like, let's get started because, you know, I think you did up your price. You went from 25 to 50. And I'm like, I'm not going to leave. So we need to get to business. So it's like, sure. I definitely think you're going to have some people who fall off because they're in they're prideful, but they're going to come back once they see that you're still in business. Cause they're going to say, oh, he's not going to have any, when people see a price increase, what they think is, oh, ain't nobody doing that. Once they see everybody else doing that, they're going to do that, especially when you have the value. Like, I can't wait for you to charge that. I hate that I'm going to have to pay that, but you can definitely demand that.
You could write it off.
and that's you guys, I hope you guys know that anything you spend, like once you get whatever your artist name is, get that LLC. So
this is a big weakness of mine, and I'm glad we're pointing this out, is the mentality.
Yeah, the limiting beliefs.
The limiting, right, with price point too, because and I'll tell you exactly, because I'm sort of going through this now, right? Is like there is a fear of raising prices because if I raise prices and no one comes, then I ass out and I'm fucked and I have to go work at Jimmy John's or whatever. You know what I mean? So there's a fear in that. So that's why I do it slow. And I'm not going to sit here and say that's the right thing to do, but it is one of those things where it's like, that's also why it's important to be around people more successful.
You have kids though. That's context. He has kids. If you don't have kids, don't do that. But if you have kids, that's reasonable. But without kids, well, why not?
Reasonable or otherwise, it's like there's a proper way, there's a reality. And what you just expressed to me is that there will be fall off, but people will still buy it. So then it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, getting back up. I know I could hit 75 because I did 75 at Bank Rose in the Blue Room, which is like shitty. Right. My shit is better than that now. Right. Than it was at Bank Rose. So I could get 75. So then it has to do with, again, branding and all that shit. But I am going to scale up. I'm at a point of whatever, but me and you definitely need to like, I don't know. That's where I'm sort of stuck in that way. And I know that there's a route.
We're going to help each other so much because you're going to help me so much on the music. It's us doing this podcast. Like, you guys going to end up like, it's going to be like once it's like 2 years from now, it's like, it's just a match made in heaven because like you have mastered, I think, like the music side of things, and you've done the business side as well in a very high level, and you've mastered kind of like you've been studying. Let's not say master because then people think we're talking down, but you have studied the music side of things a lot, and you're an engineer, so you've worked with so many different genres, and you have to know that.
Well, hold on, I haven't worked with a lot of genres. I've worked with every genre within hip hop. I just want to correct you before everybody. Before like,
okay, let me go record my rock song with this guy. No, he doesn't. He literally made a TikTok. Literally do what we're. But no, like you've worked with. You completely like embodied and studied, and you know music to like a T from a sonic standpoint, from the fundamental standpoint. And me, I'm basically that with business. And I wish I was there with music, but I just focused on making money. I'm like, well, music is fun and I love it, but I'm broke and I love girls and they are expensive. So I'm like, I need to go try to figure out because music ain't about to take you out to dinner. Like, I'm sweet, but what is this gonna do for you? You want all this shit.
And that's so funny because I'm sitting here like I'm broke, but I'm so sweet at this. That's again, there is something to be said about find a person who covers your weaknesses.
She definitely does. And it's crazy. Like, I feel like when you're in that relationship, and this is
I was talking about me and you.
Oh, true that. I'm sorry. I always get to relationship.
He's too fucking in love with you.
No, I am. I went disgusting. There. But no, that's crazy though, because that's a lot of my relationships that I'm in, friendship or this one, they all compliment me very well. That's so good. You attract what you need. But there was something to be said about how we kind of like both kind of in a sense mastered our fields, and now we're about to try to master like get what we need, because I need to master the music and you need to master the business, and
Correct.
you don't really want to master the business, but I'm gonna
It's
help
not
you
that I,
enough to you want to, but
it's
it's
not that
like,
I don't want to. It's just that I'm when you're
you know,
broke, and you know this, and everyone who's broke knows this. When you're broke, you just stick to what you know because
yeah,
the risk of deviating is too high.
exactly,
And so to me, it's like it's an inevitability now that I have my motion back that my debt will be taken care of just
yeah,
through the same pacing I have now. It's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's when, which is a good place to be. And then from there, then I could take a step back because you have to um, have time to learn.
yeah,
And when you're learning, you're not necessarily making money. But this is why this is great for me, is because like you're basically going to throw me into the fire to learn and get paid.
yeah,
You're going to be like, you can learn and get a fuckload of money at the same time, which is like the best fucking situation. And then all I have to deal with is imposter syndrome and new job stress,
yeah,
which
because
is, but that's better than dealing with
not having bread.
right. You know what I mean?
But yeah, it's gonna be crazy. And like we can now get into the scale, but I wanted to make sure I focused in on high ticket,
Yes,
because
yes.
when it comes
Take
to
that.
passive income, people want that very quickly, but you can't get that until everything is perfected. Because passive income means you're removing yourself from your business. So when you talk about removing yourself from the business, before you do that, you need to trust that everyone in the business is doing what the hell you need to trust that you have a business model that's duplicatable. And then you also need to trust that everyone who is duplicating it knows what they're doing. So it's like, you can't even think about passive income until everything is running so smoothly that it just makes sense. But if you're in the fire and like, man, I would love to not be in this. This is so hard. You probably need to keep going. If it's still hard, you can't scale that. Like if you're stressed out every day, you really can't scale that unless you're just stressed about how many meetings you have. If you're stressed about different kinks that need to be worked out and things are breaking, it's like, oh, that call went weird. And it's like, you can't scale until you have duplicatable systems. But now, once you have that down, I can't stress that enough. Now you can scale. So once you start scaling, the first step is we have the two ways. We have paid and then we have organic. Right. So when it comes to organic, I want to talk to you a lot about this, because to me, for outside looking in, you have mastered organic, and like both of you guys,
Not as much
need
as
a
I'd like, but
you have really for someone, I would say it's weird, and this isn't condescending, but for someone your age, you have really mastered the organic, because most people who are, even 25 plus, but like really 30 plus, they just organic, it just sucks. Like they can't even it's just like, what are you doing? Like this is a video that doesn't look like it's going to do
this
anything.
is the biggest secret with this, and this is a Gary Vee thing, and this is what's interesting about all of these influencers that are big. If you just shut the fuck up and listen to what they're saying, you can learn a lot.
Yeah.
Your content needs to be native for the platform it's on. So what people do is, especially old heads or people who don't want to stick on trends, and this always happens. TikTok came out. I don't want to do that shit. It's just kids and dancing. 5 years later, you're like, hey, TikTok world, look at these grapes. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, now you just pissed away 5 years and you didn't capitalize when you should capitalize, right?
Because you were so in it because it was new. Like,
Yeah, and so it's like,
yeah.
all of these things. So it's like you have to fit the format for what the format is. Actually, let me express this. Okay, I am making an argument these days that you don't need to make a music video until you're on, until you have a fan base, because if you want to break down the way YouTube works. The way YouTube works is you need constant content. You need them over 10 minutes. You need these thumbnails. You need shit that people want to see. They're shorts. It's not for music. Like if you break down what it is as a platform, it's terrible for music.
Yeah.
Now let's use TikTok. Okay. You could take one song. Let's say it's a 3-minute song. You could take 3 1-minute pieces of content of the lyrics. Boom, boom, boom. Do this on CapCut for free. Auto caption it. Put it up. That's 3 pieces of content per song. Take that, and you could do the same song with different backgrounds.
Yeah.
That's 20 pieces of content to just put it. And then you post it and post it and post it and post it. And there's a lottery element with TikTok, where the way TikTok works, from my understanding, is that my limited understanding, because I'm not deep into it, is that you drop and then it has a lot of reach. And then if it goes into phase 2, right? And people are liking it. Then it goes into phase 3.
Yeah.
It goes into phase 4, and it goes and goes and goes. And you guys have multiple M's, right, on TikTok.
Well,
right.
yeah, we were about to hit 5 M's on the last video.
Right.
We talked about it
and
yesterday.
So you know this, it comes in waves. Like that stops, and then it's woo.
Yeah, like so it goes from from once everyone's gonna hit 200. 200 is like you
Flat.
said 0.
Yeah, that's
and
baseline.
Then from 200 you're gonna hit 1,000, and then if you have low engagement at 1,000, you're probably gonna cap out at like 1.2.
Right.
And then it's gonna open up. But if you have a good engagement at 1,000, it'll open up. You're probably gonna hit at least 5,000. If a good engagement, it's gonna keep opening up as you get engagement. As long as the engagement is proportionate, they're gonna keep pushing you.
Right. So okay. So here's the thing. So native for the platform, right? So it's like music videos are native for YouTube. But I'll say this: what's interesting is people are trying to push on Instagram, but using YouTube content, and every social media hates getting off their platform.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're on Instagram and you're posting, go to my YouTube and watch this. Instagram's gonna shut you the fuck down.
Yeah, because Instagram don't like that.
Right.
Even the people might want to do it, but Instagram will stop you.
Nobody likes no social media. They want you to stay on as long as humanly possible. Here's a secret with YouTube. I think this is still the case. View doesn't matter with channel growth, view number. They care about average watch time.
Yes.
Which
and
is why
monetization to making bread.
Right.
Yes.
Which is why playlisting is important and setting your playlist. That's why I made on my YouTube that has no videos. I made a all of my interviews playlist. That's that, and that is the link in my bio. When I update it, I need to put the other one. But anyway, now I'm trailing off. So organic content, it has to be native for what's hot on the platform. Right. So, and then within that, I don't want to say I'm good. I want to say I found my value. You need to find your value.
Yeah, you found your lane.
I found my lane, and my lane is exactly what this is, because this podcast is literally just the shit that I did to get bankros up organically.
Yeah.
But in a more modern way.
Yeah.
Because now it's like the captions, right? Because to me, this podcast isn't about the long form at all. It's about the shorts. Yeah. And you could attest
completely.
I was on your fucking ass.
Completely.
I was being
that's
annoying.
The only thing, and that's what it was, because I'll open up, because that was scalability. Whenever I'm starting something, if something is hard and tedious, nope. But the first episode, I tried to make my own shorts by hand, and I'm like, nope. So I'm like, let me find a way. I'm gonna gatekeep this, actually, because I'm not gonna gatekeep how we do it. Yeah. But once I found a way that it worked, I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna send you, because I don't even want to send you any shorts that I made by hand. I don't want to send you this because you're going to expect this, because the shorts that made by hand are obviously better than an automated way, because I took more time into it. But I'm like, I can't even send him these, because he's going to love it and he's going to want this again. And I'm like, nope, I need to send you something that's scalable, because you're going to ask for it again.
Yeah, right? I would rather have multiple half as good though anyway.
Exactly, because it doesn't matter. So many will miss. It's going to be that one hit.
I'm used to sticking a camera in my face and just talking, and that still sort of works because my value is good. But if the same, actually, when we get all the shit in my studio from the pre-media and you have the backdrop, do you know who Anti-Profit is?
No, I didn't.
You know Andy Hormon is Hormozy, Alex Hormozy. So look, Andy Hormonal, Hormonal Andy. No. So there's a format that is my style of sticking a camera in my face, but when we have a backdrop, because he literally just sits in a chair and he says, and the format is the same way as mine. The format is the same way as mine, except that it's more polished. So I'm going to basically sit in the backdrop, and I'm going to use that to promote pre-media, by the way, and just do the same content while I'm there, run and gun these with that framing of me just sitting with this backdrop, and then using those as reels as well, and then running those through. And I could do that by myself. Instead of sticking a camera in my face and talking, I could sit there when I'm not and just think, because I always...
With studio lighting, by the way.
Yeah. So that's good. So it's like I could take that and whatever I think, I could just do that, and I could just film those, and I could, and I'm going to try my best to get in a habit of, taking 4 hours and just getting like 20 of them, and then just do, as opposed to in the car when I'm with my kids and like, you know what I hate about brick and bracks?
I'm like, you shouldn't be driving while doing that.
TikTok actually gave me a warning. They're like,
I saw, and I meant to bring it up on the episode. Like, they gave you like a caution thing.
Yeah, you know what?
Doing this could injure you.
Yeah, I'm like, good. I like to live dangerously. But anyway, I'm veering off. So now, the main thing, it's like, I don't want to say I'm good. I want to say that I found what I'm good at. I found what people responded to, and I tripled down on that. And it was scary to even start. I remember with Bankros, it started with literally rap technique. That's it. But then it veered into life shit because I started to run out of shit to talk about. So I started talking about life shit. And then I ran a poll. This actually changed my life. I was still living in my mind. This is like maybe year 2 in Bankros, maybe year 1, very close to after shooting Vindictive, maybe whatever. But I did a poll where I was like, do you want the rap shit more? Or do you want the life shit more? And I did like just the poll. And I thought it would be overwhelmingly rap shit. And it was the opposite. It was like 80% life shit. Yeah, and I was like, but that was a realization. I'm like, oh, this is bigger than what I think it is, because more people are following me for the mental tune-up. More people get value about me saying shit like, fuck your mom because she doesn't have to be around you in your life, or like you need to be creative for your soul, than me talking about the elements of rap, our lyrics, flow, and delivery, and breaking that down. More people care about getting mentally right so that they can go accomplish it, for better or worse, right? Because some people just use it as another Andy hormonal phrase. Alex, I got to stop doing that. He's going to think I'm dissing him. I'm not dissing him. Alex Hormozy phrase was, damn, I forgot it with my shitty joke. What the fuck was I just saying?
Bro, you were talking about how your mental tune-up is what's most valuable.
Mental masturbation is that you just watch shit, the motivational shit, but never do it.
Oh yeah. And like it feels good. It's like, oh yeah, I just watched that. No, and you'll go even tell somebody, I saw this video. And it was nice.
And so it's, and that's why I execute, but whatever. But so the biggest advice is, whatever social media you're promoting on, figure out what exactly does that social media want from their users.
Yeah.
And then figure out what you do and format it in a way that is acceptable with that, right? And I'll tell you this right now. If I wasn't using my Instagram to get DM, like local clients, I wouldn't be using Instagram at all. I'd be fully on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because Instagram has I would say that the Detroit rap scene infrastructure is almost solely on Instagram, with the exception of YouTube,
right?
Like being the music itself, right? Like for show Mag and the Hip Hop Lab and Laced Visuals and Rich Town, and there's so many for the music itself, right? But Instagram is where the heart of the culture is.
Yeah, that's with that culture. Yeah, and I mean it's crazy, especially with and I love that it was super intentional with, of course, inviting you and wanting you to do this, especially with that side of things where it's like you have the experience, like it's inevitable, and it's something that I can't just like. There are so many things that I talk about that I've paid thousands to learn about, and it's like I can do that, but I can't pay for what you have, and that's the whole. If you guys don't know why, because a lot of times when I say get a mentor, people think it's just a selling tactic for me, and it's literally not. Before I got into coaching, I was telling people the first thing you need to do is have a mentor, because what you're paying for is not for someone's course. Okay, you're not paying for my course. You're not paying for any of that shit. You're paying for not having to spend the 10 years or 5 years or whatever it was he spent making mistakes to just get all of that in a box and be able to talk with him. That's why you get a mentor, to not have to make those same mistakes. That's why you have parents too, but a lot of us ignore them.
Or they're shitty. Here's a good phrase.
Yeah.
You either pay in L's or time or money. Boom. So,
but okay, I know you got to get out of here, so I do want to get into this last thing, and we were already in it with the paid versus organic. So I asked you about organic a little bit because you've been blowing the fuck up, and it's similar to that quote that you did first. We saw this interview that Offset was doing, talking about you let the audience determine what your single is, but you've been saying that to me for like 5 years.
Yeah.
So that is the first with organic. You throw out different things, you see what sticks, and then you keep doing what sticks. That's organic.
Yes, you triple down on the thing that works. Don't do the thing where you force content. The market decides what's good. You do not, across the board.
Exactly.
Flat the fuck out.
Exactly. And when it comes to paid, it's a little bit different, because with organic, you have to work with what you have, but with paid, you guys have to understand there's a market for everything. If you, the only people I will talk about, like as far as musically, is like people like Blueface and things like that. If you listen to Blueface, there's a market for everything. Like everyone was saying he raps off beat. So if that's like, if you're from a musical standpoint, if that can sell and that that's fundamentally bad, there's a market for everything. So with ads, it's just about finding your market, finding your demographic. Everyone at the beginning, when they first got into Instagram ads, they started searching the artists that they think that they sound like, and they target people who like those artists.
Yes.
But what you need to target and I learned this isn't me knowing everything. La Russell, follow La Russell, one of the best, one of the biggest, and one of the most consistent independent artists out there besides Cluner that I know of. What he did, instead of targeting people who like the same music as him, he targeted people like him. So instead of when you went into the targeting, instead of entering those artists, he entered his actual interests. Things that he likes.
Oh, that's a good
to find people like him. So me, I have ADHD. So even if someone doesn't like my music, if they have ADHD, they're gonna try to like it because they resonate with me. Right. It's the same with the representation in the LGBTQ. There are so many people who in the LGBTQ community who love and follow people just because they're gay. They don't even like anything else about them. It's just, oh, they're gay too. So it's like, oh, like it's like, oh, it's me. So it's like exact, and that's how you grow. So you need to find, if you have something you don't want to change, wait to do that until you can run ads. If you can't, find what people like, because you have to do that. But once you can run ads, that's when you can invest in your ideas, because now it's about figuring out where your audience is. There is one for whatever you do. There is an audience. It's just a matter of how big it is and how monetizable it is. So I just
had an evil genius plan that I want to experiment on. It is do the music, but target people who specifically hate the shit. And see, because people will respond more negatively in general.
And negative sales.
And if you could get that to manipulate the algorithm, then maybe there's a good argument of an Uno reverse.
I mean, there's an argument that's been done with, Bad Baby, and, not Bad Baby, because she actually seemed like she likes music, but the period girl, like that.
No, but that's art. Period. No, but that's comedy. That's comedy though. That's entertainment. The value is. I mean, like, I make Detroit music, right? I'm gonna target people who like Eminem. Stylistically, because everyone's
target me.
Right. No,
but the thing is, you actually do make. So the thing is, you do make transcendent music. So it's like someone who likes pop will like your music.
I can.
Someone who likes. I mean, you've shown me music that like a Panic of the Disco fan would like.
For sure.
Even though it's it's transcendent. Like I feel like that's a lot of my music too, but that's
not what I would be doing. I would be doing my V's flow, and I would be targeting people who fucking love Big Pun. You know what I mean? And they would be like, get this shit, it's ruining hip hop. Like those motherfuckers. Like I want, like, and then just see if their anger, if all the old heads can fuel me into a fucking record deal. I want to do that. I just want to experiment. I'll take a bullet. I'll take a bullet for that myself. I'll make a song that is so fucking not what they like, and then once we could do this. I just want to experiment with this, and just see what happens.
We put some money behind it, and put the wrong
put the opposite, and then we could make a YouTube about it. Like I put $10,000 of ads intentionally targeting the wrong audience, and this is what happened.
We're definitely doing that. We're definitely doing that.
Y'all gonna make me.
So that's paid. So that's kind of like, paid. Like paid is just about, so the thing with ads, you don't just run ads to what you think ads work, and then when that way doesn't work, ads don't work. That's what everyone does. Everyone who talks to me about ads, whenever I bring up ads, oh no, I don't do the ads. Whenever, because if you're saying that, then you're already in the wrong. So whenever you open with saying I don't do ads, I don't do that shit, now I'm just like, what dumbass thing are you about to say? Because it's not about to make any lick of sense. And I mean, it's gonna make sense from your perspective, but I'm gonna look at, and I'm gonna, when that's the first thing I kind of I unlearn with people when we start like consulting and coaching, because you can't have that mentality. But ads, you need to master it, and it will work. So the first thing before you scale, you need to understand that ads work. Like you have to. And if they don't work for you, that's you. That's not the ads.
People think that ads are you click a button and it goes to people. Running ads is a skill set. It is a learnable craft. It is not, I'm going to pay Instagram. It's not purchasing shoes. Okay. There's a skill set involved, and you have to learn SEO. You have to learn target marketing. You have to learn best practices. It is a craft in the same way that rapping and making music, art, painting, it's a craft. There is a craft element to running ads. So don't think, and people fuck that up.
Yeah.
Understand that one, it works. It just does. And then it's a craft. And then if you understand those two things, you can get better at it and you can be more efficient at it, flat out. And I think those are the two like I think roadblocks for people. I have to leave very soon. I'm going to be late.
Yeah,
For my
we're just
session.
about done. I mean, it's just most things about all these things that we're talking about. The thing that's going to stop you is your limiting beliefs. So cut those out. But when it comes to how to start, where you have the free shit, push that, push that. While you're pushing free shit, you're simultaneously getting better. You're listening to the audience that you're giving free shit to. And you're taking what they say, not personal, not to heart. You're taking those things and you're making yourself better and better and better. So now when you're charging, you can start charging, an honorable rate, and then you can raise that because you're getting better and better and better, and you're worth that. And then while you're doing that, you're learning the business side. So you're getting a mentor, you're watching YouTube, you're figuring out how to grow on the business side because you have to learn that stuff. The thing is, what I've been doing a lot of done with you programs instead of doing done for you. Stop doing done for you shit because you don't know what's going on. So if you're going to, before you scale, you need to figure out how to do everything that people are going to do to scale. So that's why scaling needs to take a long time. You can't rush it because you need to learn every bit and piece. You need to learn how every moving part works in your business. Yeah. Because if you don't know that, then when people are doing wrong shit, you won't know, and you won't be able to stop it when it starts.
I failed at bank rows because I skipped a lot of shit. I gave my partner too much responsibility. I avoided learning certain things because I didn't want to.
Yes,
and I paid the price.
Yes.
And I'm still paying that price. Luckily, I'm a good person and I have people like you and I have people to look out for me to help me come back up, and I'm a hard worker and all that, and I know how to rebrand. But if you're not me, it's catastrophic. Exactly. Really, learn, I'll tell you firsthand fucking experience. You will crash out. And if you don't crash out soon, you'll crash out later. It is a inevitable, slippery slope, a slippery lane.
Learn everything. Really learn everything in your back end. Russell is really big on this. Learn how to, all that stuff that sounds foreign and scary, lean into that if it's what you want to do. If music is not just a hobby for you, learn these things because you're going to need them one way or another. And that's how you don't get screwed. Like people, I'm not going to get into this because you don't need to go, but people get so talking about how they're being screwed by whoever they signed to. And it's like, you just should have learned it.
Yeah, you bent over. What do you think? What do you think's gonna happen? You bent over. They're gonna come give you the old slip and pull.
Dozy do.
The old dozy. What was that drink you said?
The peach belief.
They're gonna give you bend over. They're gonna give you the old peach belief.
Because it is a peach. Oh, that's perfect. Because that's peach. That's amazing. But you focus on learning that business side. That business side is really important. You need to learn those things. Learn content creation. Learn these algorithms. Don't just pay someone else to do it. Pay someone else to do it, but make sure that you're paying someone who's also going to teach you how. Don't pay anyone who's going to gatekeep that shit because you need to learn these things. And then once you have all that done, you perfected it. You run free shit. You have this clientele. You've branded yourself, and now you have that credibility. So you've been featured in press, you worked with big names, and now you're at that point. Now you can scale, and now you need to also find that high ticket offer. There's so many different things that we're missing. We're going to keep doing this, but an irresistible offer is what you need. Irresistible means that they will be dumb to pass up on it. It's very similar is Executive Studios. We're working with her, and I'm going to drop what we're. I don't know if it's exclusive to me, but
don't say it.
Yeah, I won't say it. But monthly, the rate that she gave me to use this unlimited was something I could not pass up on a monthly basis. And that irresistible offer is something that you need to have in your business if you can scale, because before you turn on ads, you need ads that are going to convert, and you need an irresistible offer to convert. But after that, mastering paid, mastering organic. And then after that, it's just about investing in yourself, working with your mentor that you choose, and keep growing and getting to the next level. But that's really it. I did the recap for us because I know you need to get out of here. For you, last words.
Get good at the thing. Get good at the thing you're selling first from a creative standpoint. So get good at the music, get good at the photography, get good at the videos, get good at the art. And by good, I mean pass the barrier of bad to acceptable, from no financial value to value before you think about branding, before you think about quitting your job, before you think about scaling. Get good enough. Then get your first paid clients. Then set the amount of money you need to make to quit your job, and wash, rinse, repeat up until you can hit that. Because once you do, and then tuck money away, tuck 3 months worth of money of your bills at least minimum before you quit your job. Go through an entire year cycle of working that job, even when you're past the ability financially to do it. Be patient, then quit your job. Then when you can do that, now you have all this extra time. Don't spend that extra time buying fucking shoes and fucking hoes. Use that to upgrade your equipment, use that to get more clientele, and use that to upgrade yourself all the way to the point that you can scale to where you took over. And that to me is the from jack shit to somebody ready to go. But it starts with get good, noob.
Get good.
Get fucking good. Get valuable. And your value is not 100% determined on the skill set. There's a baseline level. I'm sorry, on the art, on the craft itself. There's a baseline level of good, but then it has to do with doing good business. It has to do with building relationships. It has to do with being smart with your money. It has to do with being patient.
Sales is customer service, not trying to get people to do shit. You know, it's customer service. It's at all of that stuff. Sales is retention. Sales is everything that makes your business go. I just want to say, man, again, thanks for your insight on this, because as always, I mean, you always bring the gems. This has been episode 9 of the Preem Pod. We will see you guys next week.
I've been gone for too long now. I'm feeling like the villain. I only had a conversation with myself because I'm the realest. I'm screaming dream on. I ain't doing nothing unless the whole team on. Trying to tap in and see what Preem on. If it's up, then it's stuck, you know what we on.